Hey everyone, welcome to episode 30 of Social Good Podcast. Today we have with us a very special guest, Mallory Loar. She is the CEO and founder of Kindasorta Studio. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mallory.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so whereabouts are you located today?
All right, so I am in San Francisco, California, but I originally grew up in the suburbs outside of Chicago, so grew up in the Midwest here in the US. And now I've been out in San Francisco for about almost a decade, so I'm almost a local now here in San Francisco.
Great, great. I remember San Francisco, like I was there just yesterday. I was there slightly before COVID, but yeah, haven't been there in since then, so I'm not sure if it's changed or whatnot.
I mean, I think the pandemic was probably rough for a lot of places, but I will say it was rough for San Francisco in particular. So, but now we're kind of like on the upswing, especially with the rise of AI. San Francisco has kind of seen this
Mhm.
sort of boom that I think it hasn't experienced in a while. So, you came at a good time, but the next time you come here, you'll have to shoot the podcast here somewhere, I'm sure.
That sounds perfect. Yeah, whereabouts in San Francisco are you?
So I'm in Excelsior, which is a neighborhood that you would not probably know of unless you're in San Francisco. But um, I'm like outer Mission area. I'm in the southern
Gotcha.
sort of most like tip point of San Francisco. It's like really easy for me to get to SFO, like literally less than 15 minutes if I need to take a flight, which is so great if you travel a lot for work like myself. Um, but yeah, so
I
and it's
I love
crazy
that
because
I
like
love that area so much.
okay, so
There
you
were
know, you know.
yeah, it's been a few years, but I do remember the mission. Yeah. So it's again it's so nice to connect with you. Can you let me know a little bit about what like who you are and what you do at Kind of Sorta Studio?
Yes, yes, of course. So, all right, I have been in the community brand sort of content marketing world, both within tech and gaming over the last decade or so. I actually originally built my career from the days where Tumblr was the place to be back in like early 2010s. Tumblr was taking off as a blogging platform, and at the
Okay.
time, I couldn't find anyone in real life that really loved the same games that I did. And so I decided to start a blog about it. And I had no plans for it. It wasn't like I hope to work in games one day and like, I'm going to make this something. It was truly, truly like just to connect with people that like loved the same games that I did. So
Okay.
for those of
What were
you who
some
are
of those
listening that maybe
games?
love games, like Fallout New Vegas is my favorite RPG of all time. I love BioShock. I'm a huge Animal Crossing fan as well.
Heard of that one?
So there's a range like
Okay.
RPGs and action adventure games and
Okay. Fair enough.
cozy games, like kind of play a little bit of everything. But then my blog took off. And from there, that sort of allowed me to get my foot in the door to start working in games. And so originally worked in esports and hardware. While I was there, I started a influencer sort of affiliate program. I did events marketing for them, and then
Okay.
that led me to start working at Discord. Um, I worked at Discord for almost 6 years and started when it was very
Mhm.
early. So I was one of their initial marketing hires, which was really fun. So I started when there was 30 people. I left when there was 1,000. And it was
Okay.
this experience of like growing their community, their content, their brand, events, creator marketing, all of that from the ground up. Um, did that for quite some time. Eventually
Yeah.
started my own company called
Okay.
Whatever,
Uh-huh.
which is a consumer social startup that I founded after I left Discord.
All right.
My track record of like a lot of the stuff that I've done is around community marketing, the importance of IRL sort of connections and cultivating that through building technology or creating tech or like products that
Okay.
facilitate that. And so whatever was sort of my first like project and startup that I'd built, I essentially grabbed two co-founders, some folks that I worked with at Discord,
Okay.
and we raised some money. We raised almost $1 million,
Okay.
and we
All right.
spent about 2 years building whatever, and shut down for a lot of typical reasons that startups shut down for. And from there, I decided to kind of just easily kind of get back into working as a consultant instead of like jumping back into another startup or a bigger company. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to consult for a second while I kind of try to figure out what's next for me.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, I decided to join a vibe coding startup called Bolt.new. So if you're familiar with the vibe coding space, so think about like the lovables, the replets, the V0s, the cursor
Got you.
type
Got you.
products.
Got you. Got you.
So came on last year as like their fractional head of marketing, got to run like the world's largest hackathon, which was like 130,000 plus people coming together, competing over a $1 million prize pool, just building products and apps and businesses and all this stuff from the ground up.
Nice.
I
So it seems
left
like you did.
after,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
it
No, no,
seems
no, go
like you
ahead.
did a lot of like stints at like places like Discord, Tumblr. Which one kind of like led you into the path that you are today?
Discord for sure. I think Discord was, I mean, right after I left the company, it gave me the ability to start my own company and raise money in a way that I think was probably a lot easier for myself than others who are starting companies for the first time just because of the relationships I had built and the work that I had done at Discord. It was like any investor that I had spoke to or that I would meet was really interested because myself and the team that I had built was from Discord and like early Discord. So they're like, wow, like they were responsible for building the design and the product and like the marketing and all of that from the ground up. And so I feel like Discord was probably the most pivotal sort of point
Mm-hmm.
for me in my career, and it's allowed me to build a network where now, which I'm building kind of sort of studio, which is a community sort of activation studio where we help tech brands sort of build and cultivate and engage with their own communities. But my work at Discord, right? Like the experience of building all of their own communities from the ground up has like also given me the ability to do what I'm doing now
Okay.
at kind of sort of studio as well.
So let's backtrack just a little bit. You said that you had joined Discord as an employee because of your experience with gaming. Is that right?
So I grew up playing video games.
Okay.
My dad and I actually, it was a way for us to kind of just bond and spend time together. And growing up, he would just kind of play a bunch of PlayStation 1 games, so like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, just
All
really
right.
like Jack and Dexter, Ratchet and Clank. And he and I would just like sit and play together, but it was mostly me watching him. And I was just so curious and loved it. And eventually kind of became a way for us to really sort of connect as, yeah, daughter sort of father
So,
relationship.
so these are
And
computer games or
yeah,
like consoles or phone games or
so console games. So like my first ever console was the PlayStation. Eventually I got like a Nintendo DS, and so like I had a bunch of like the Nintendo like mobile gaming type consoles. And then eventually when I was in college I built my first ever gaming PC because I started live streaming on Twitch. And like I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna live stream and I'm gonna play all these like PC intensive games, I need to
mm,
have the like type of rig that's actually going to allow me to play those kinds of games.
gotcha.
So yeah, it's kind of something I grew up with and then eventually kind of just kept doing as I grew up too.
So not everyone in our audience may not be familiar. So I kind of want to, clarify, what does gaming have to do with communities?
Oh, that's a
Um,
great question. It's a great, great question. So I do believe that the best games are built on the communities themselves, right? Like without having a player base that's really excited about your game, who's
okay.
going to want to stay and sort of cultivate the game or continue to play the game? And when I say cultivate, like, for example, there are games like Minecraft or Roblox that are very sort of online. Like the game is powered by the players that are building and creating on the platform, right? And you can't have that without a community of sort of players and fans that are just obsessed with your game, are willing to or wanting to play your game with other friends, right? Because I think if, I'm not sure, I'm obviously not sure how familiar your audience is with games, but I'm sure we've all had a moment in our life where we've played another game with friends. And
Sure.
I think games
Me
are
mainly with
better
my
in
brother.
general with friends, right? Exactly, right? So, and a lot of that, yes, comes from just like building an amazing game, and that itself sort of also just being enough for you to want to, of course, like share that with others. But the best games tend to have communities that, yeah, I think like help make the game more fun, more inclusive,
Okay.
and I think also make the game better too.
I see, I see. As in, like, what do you mean by making the game better? I mean, like, giving suggestions to the developers or what?
Giving suggestions to the developers, right, on specific things they would want to see. Even a simple thing like, for example, like reporting bugs, right? Like, which is something that you do in software too, but it's also something that you do when building games. And so having sort of testers or community members that are excited about just like being able to help and support the sort of internal developer team on that, like, is huge, I would say. So there's a lot of different reasons. But yeah, and then just in terms of like even small things, right? Like having a community member or someone just create content and share content about the game, right?
Okay.
I think is
Um,
also big for games. So yeah.
so that's a thing where people share, like, make content for about games that they play.
Yes. So when I started early in my gaming career, there was a platform that took off at the time called Twitch.tv,
Yeah,
which
I'm
is a
familiar.
live streaming platform,
Yes, yes.
where you can live stream a lot of things, but for the most part, folks that live stream and streamers that live stream on Twitch are just usually playing games or talking about games, reviewing games, playing games competitively, that sort of thing. And so back in my early career when Twitch started taking off as a platform, I remember talking to the company I'd worked with at the time, like, this would be such a great opportunity for us to start building relationships with these creators,
Uh,
and have them like sort of promote the product in ways that are organic and authentic to them and their audiences and their
mm,
communities and their
okay.
etc. So that was kind of like the beginning of, I feel like, some of the work in my career. And um, there's like another, I think, another way to build sort of, yeah. And then of
But
course, like, being or working with players that already have communities too, and finding ways to engage and sort of build the game or like support the game in a way that's like,
okay.
I don't know, in
So
alignment with their community too.
So I'm sure that gaming and I mean, perhaps the gaming community has evolved over time as well. Like back in, so I was like a, early 90s baby. Like I barely, I'm an 80s baby, like technically, but I grew up in the early 90s. And then we played games like on, in the mid 90s, I played games like on N6, Nintendo 64 and such, when there was not a community. So I'm kind of wondering, like, when did the, gaming, community, like, first appear, like, when, and does the community come first or does the gaming come first? Like, do people pick up a game thinking like, oh, I want a community to plug into or?
It's also a good question. So, old school communities in the gaming scene looked like, they call them LAN events, LAN sort of events. And it's basically where people would just bring their consoles or their PC to like one central location. So, imagine just like a bunch of desks and televisions with people either playing games together or playing PC games together. And they didn't weren't all playing one game. Everyone was playing games that they enjoyed. And some people even went to the event and would only play single player games, but they were in community with other people who were playing games, right? It didn't matter that they weren't necessarily playing multiplayer games or games together in person. It's just like, it's kind of like the concept of like, if you're on a trip and you like take a bunch of photos and then you're with your friends after and you're just in complete silence and you're all editing, but like you're kind of just like experiencing it together, even though like you're not editing the same sort of content. It's like that. Whereas like you just want to be in the room with other people. And so that's actually where a lot of gaming community started. And even when I started working at Discord, we were like, okay, how do we contact all these gaming clubs, like gaming clubs at universities or high schools, and all these LAN events where people are getting together and they're playing together in person, and have Discord sort of be a part of that sort of
Is that how
experience
this
where
code
like
evolved?
after the
Or
event, yes, that's one of the ways Discord sort of started growing out
so
of a lot of
so
other ways, like subreddit communities too. Like if you're familiar.
right. That is true. Can't forget about Reddit. So like,
Yeah.
when people were quote unquote gaming together in those like more old-fashioned communities in the 90s, was that like in people's houses or what?
So honestly, anywhere like a warehouse, schools, like someone's house. It's just like it's tough to do it at someone's house with a lot of people because you need power, right? So like if you're
Okay.
powering like 20 different computers in a house, you're gonna like your house is gonna be like this electricity is a problem, right? So like just spaces where people can get together in larger groups, I think for the most part, right? So
See. Yeah, it's
even when I
crazy
was in
because
Chicago for a few years, there were even like some specific um, like businesses that were just for people to kind of like gaming PC, like PC LAN cafe type style that I know is popular in parts of Asia. There
exactly.
are components of that to some extent. Not as popular in Asia by any means, but kind of similar
And
to
you
that.
mean these days?
Yes.
Well, I'm not like, you know, I'm not like the hardest gamer you'll find in the world today. However, excuse me, I have been to PC. They're called PC pangs in Korea at least. It's like a computer cafe where you go and you pay like, I don't know, maybe like two couple bucks an hour or something like that. 30 minutes or whatnot, and just you can print stuff, you can like go online, you can play games. But in the 90s, when I would visit Korea in the summers, um, these PC cafes or PC bangs were a huge thing. So much so that in elementary school, because I attended an a local elementary school in Korea for one summer, right? And they would, after school, they would have these like class assigned like class presidents go around to those PC rooms and be like, I mean, sent from like, the headmistress, but they would go and they would find any students that were in these PC rooms after school because like something about addiction that was like a common problem. So
Yeah, I believe it. I feel like that was the time where things like StarCraft, like those games like League of Legends, not League of Legends, that's too early, probably like StarCraft and what have you, also like
there you
became
go. There you go.
popular. Um, yeah, as like there's like the rise of esports essentially in PC cafes across Asia, and I think that was like one of the first games that kind of took off.
True.
Um,
So why do you think that
so
was like not as big of a thing in the States?
hmm. I mean, I remember growing, like, I grew up and I went to the library to use the internet because my family only had one computer at home. But I don't remember growing up and there being a bunch of places where we could go and like go to a PC cafe where you could like eat food and chill and be on the internet all day, like outside of the library. And I don't know, to be honest with you. Like, I've no, but now I'm like curious. I'm like, there's got to be a good reason for this. And I almost wonder if it's because everyone growing up had like one computer. Actually, no. I think it's because PC games, so PC gaming didn't take off here in the US the way that it has in Asia. And so gaming really like for me growing up, it was all about consoles, right? So like the PlayStation, the
Yeah.
Xbox, right? So like console games I think were a lot more popular than PC, and PC was also like even now like the sort of demographic of PC gamers are like elder millennials. Um, so I would say it's just not as popular as console gaming and that sort of thing. So whereas in Asia that is not as much perhaps, but That's just my,
I
that's just, I don't know.
there were a handful of games that I grew up playing. Are you familiar with Oregon Trail?
Hmm.
I love that game. I mean, like in the third grade, like before in the third or fourth grade in the summers, I would go to the library, my local school library, and I would play that game on the computer, just like in the library itself. It was so much fun, right? I also played like in middle school, I played Roller Coaster Tycoon. I mean, that's like,
Yes, that game is the best. Okay, so after this podcast, okay, you're gonna go to the App Store and you're gonna look up Roller Coaster Tycoon because you can buy it like the
Tycoon, Tycoon.
old game, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
like not that much, and you can play it like the old version of the game, and it's great. I sucked in too many hours on my phone, like replaying it. But I'm glad. Okay, see, we connected on a game there, Rose. We connected on
Yeah,
a
it's
game.
like Roller Coaster Tycoon is like the, I think I said Tycoon. Tycoon is like the game for entrepreneurs, no? Because it's, you get to see like you know, the fruits of your labor on that
That's
game,
so
you know?
true.
And the
I've also never
Sims,
thought about it like that.
the Sims I grew up playing just because who doesn't love the
Yes.
Sims, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Me too. I also grew up on that game. Too many. Um, Definitely too many, but I think it's fun because the studio that I'm focused on building now, right, at kindasorta is very much so like the creatives we have, our branding, the work that we do is so influenced by games, so influenced by play,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. So I feel like, I do have gaming related clients, but although I'm like not purely like in the gaming space, it's
Okay.
still very much so applicable, I think, to being in like the tech and AI world. And I will say, I have a new obsession, not to get off
Okay.
track, but I'm obsessed with building games right now. Like, I have built like 8 or 10 different games in the last month with AI. Um, and I'm just like recreating all of the old games that I love to play growing up. So, I don't know. I have this like knack right now. Like I'm not a game developer. I don't consider myself to be a game developer. But like now that we have AI, I'm just like, okay, what kind of fun experience can I build and share it with like my niece? Or like I just built my niece a Paw Patrol game because she loves Paw Patrol, the show. Like, I don't know, just finding like creative and fun ways to use AI just because like with the way I use it, it's always so productive, right? Until in terms of like the ways in which we're using it for business, but to use it for fun and creative purposes has been great too. So
So, do you have any any games like published or just like informally release?
I mean, they're published, but they're not like things I'm marketing. Um, okay, so I built a game called Dress to Not Impress, which is based off the Roblox game Dress to Impress, where the goal is,
Wait,
okay, you have a few minutes, you have to dress up a like fun outfit that's on theme, and then you walk down the podium and everyone rates your outfit, and then the goal is to get the top three like best outfit, right? So I did the opposite of that. I'm like, this is a game where whoever is like looking like basically the most chopped is gonna get on the podium.
I mean like
So
casual.
games like that. Yes, like just casual, but like not good. And
I mean like
then,
casual is a style too, I believe.
but I made like a dog simulator game, like a mini Tamagotchi type thing. So, anyways, just lots of like fun little
Okay.
games that
Yeah.
I'm like kind of shocked that we're in a place now where we can do things like that.
Yeah, it's crazy
So
because like just a few weeks ago I was like just thinking about what I did as a child and I pulled up solitaire and not Minesweeper on my computer. So now whenever I just like I'm anxious or something, I'll just pull that up and I'll start, clicking on
yeah.
all the gray squares and like flipping cards and all that. So I
My
mean,
gosh, I haven't played that one in a while either. Maybe I'll
yeah.
remake that too. And then I'll send
Oh,
it to you, Rose, and you
yeah,
can play it.
please. Please. I'd love to like um find a nice interface as well. So Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so tell us a little bit about your work at Kindasorta Studio. What is the crux of what you do?
Great question, too. So, I mean, I think the crux of what we do is helping early stage companies, tech companies, build community from the ground up or help sort of scale their community, right? So, for example, that could be a lot of different things, like maybe building a community program. You have found product market fit. You have some early sort of users that are like evangelists for your brand. So, how can we take that and maybe build an ambassador program, an influencer program, a referral program, a college
Oh,
ambassador program, really depending
that's a lot
upon
of
the type
different
of
types of
product,
programs.
very lots of different types of programs depending upon, yeah, who you're trying to target, who your sort of like in like type of evangelizer is for your brand. Every product, every brand is different. All the way to doing things like community activations. We actually just recently, the team went to New York twice in the last month. We did a really
Nice.
fun hackathon event with Google at their office and one of our clients called Bash TV, and it was just getting a group of almost 100 people together to sort of build games together in person, which was really fun. Where a lot of people kind of met one another for the first time and walked away and not only like learned something new and built something, but also sort of met other people to continue to chat with as well, and network with and build relationships with. And then in June, we did a really fun New York Tech Week activation where we worked with like a Series A early sort of AI startup, where in the past they would do events and like they'd have people show up, but it
Yeah.
wasn't the right person, or it was hard to get someone to like people to show up because they're competing with so many different events. And so they're like, we want to do something super grassroots, super guerrilla. So we pitched to them like, okay, what if we hire a bunch of
Mhm.
improv actors from the Brooklyn Comedy Collective, dress them up in purple like agent suits and have them do
Mhm.
improv in front of like the most popular tech week events. And we did that basically, and in addition to that we like ran social contests and out of home
Who was the
stuff and
client?
like all these things. The company was called Deck, and it's like kind of like a financial AI agentic type of company, and so they're very enterprise focused, but they're like, how can we do sort of like consumer related marketing, and yeah, just like do something that's going to catch people's attention. So that in that instance, definitely more about brand awareness than it is about like building a direct community.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah,
So there's like
we're really
different
early,
different
like
tiers, it seems like.
yeah, different tiers. And I think like if you're working with startups, it's a little bit trickier, just because
Hmm.
like you have to figure out, do they have a brand? Have they found
Hmm.
product market fit yet? Do they actually
Hmm.
know who their ideal sort of target is? Just because a lot of companies we work with are like, well, we have 10 different types of audiences. And I'm like, okay, but
Hmm.
like, what are your top few, right? And ones that you're really
Hmm.
focused on? And then how do we like build a community around that or for those people in particular? Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, kind of doing all the things I think we've learned in the last year, like how do we try and narrow down as much as possible, but it's hard, I think, when you're starting a new business and you're trying to do the thing where you're like doing like sticking a bunch of things to the wall, see what sticks so you can do it again.
So how long do you like, what's the average time that you work with a client for? Because community seems like an ongoing thing, if I'm not,
Yeah,
completely
I would
off.
agree with you. No, you're not off at all. I think you
Hmm.
can't you can't growth hack community, right? Like it's not a thing that just like happens overnight and you're done, right? And you know this, like it's something you have to cultivate and engage with and
Hmm.
continue to invest your time in. um but we've had clients you at least 3 months, at a minimum 3 months. But even though we're quite new, we've had clients that we've worked with for over 6 months, um as well. So I guess when it comes to doing a smaller project, it's possible to definitely not do it in 3 to 6 month increments, depending on what that looks like. But for the most part, doing community type work takes 3 to 6 plus, if not more, even more time than that, right? That's just to maybe like set up the operations or do the strategy and planning and sort of brand work to figure out what that community looks like. There's so much that goes into that, right? And then you launch the thing in the world and you got to do the programming for it. You got to promote the program. You got to make sure that everyone in your program is feeling seen, rewarded, heard, right? All of the things that is going to be important to keep your community members happy and around and sort of promoting your brand or being connected to your brand. So,
What is your success rate with kind of sort of studio? Because community, I feel like is like there's no like one size fits all, or there's like no one correct answer for all the different products and their communities out there, right?
yeah, no, I think it's so early for us. And so it's hard to pick like one win that we've had. I would say the New York Tech Week project that we did with Deck was really huge for us in terms of the awareness front and just helping get their brand out there. And it was really cool because we would bring out the agents in Madison Square Garden in New York, and then we'd walk a couple blocks to do something else, and there would be people that are like, I just saw your cool poster on the side, and now I'm seeing you guys here, and I just heard about you guys over there from someone else, and sort of like, how can we help spread that word of mouth flywheel in a way that's organic, that's not just a paid ad or what have you, but like coming from the people that like actually matter the most, which is your friends or people on the street or whatever, right? So I would say that. And then like because I come from startup world, like it was really cool for us to do the hackathon with Google just because that's a new like partnership and relationship that we're now building with a company that is definitely larger. And I would love to find ways to work with them just because Google is a massive company with so many different products, so many different teams,
Mhm,
so many
mhm,
different kinds of communities. So
mhm.
how do you like bring that together in a way?
So
Um,
what role
but
does kind of sort of play in a hackathon, right? Because how is that
mhm.
what does that do for the Google? Um Maybe I just don't
Yeah,
understand well enough.
no, that's okay. So, um, the way to, I mean, a great example would even be to share the hackathon I also did last year with Bolt.new. They're a new
Okay.
sort of platform and they wanted to get the word out there, especially with prosumers. So in this case, a prosumer is someone who, so for example, say you're like, you want to get into taking photos and doing content and you don't know how to, but you buy the expensive camera, you buy the thing that costs a little bit of money, the lighting or what have you to help you do the production, even though you don't know how to use all of that type of technology, but you're figuring it out, you're learning and you're motivated and you're going to figure it out anyways. And so Bolt was trying to sort of attract prosumers into their product. So someone perhaps who doesn't know how to build an app but has an idea or doesn't know how to build a website but like needs it for their small business sort of thing. And so the hackathon at the time was like, okay, the goal was to build a project and an app using their product in particular, right? So like we are naturally building a way for people to come and use our product because we're putting on this hackathon event. Now, most hackathon events do not have a $1 million prize pool. Most of them are like, hardware type
Uh-huh.
prizes or gift cards,
Right.
and there's definitely cash. You can definitely get cash prizes, but that's a massive cash prize. And so that's enough of an incentive for people to want to participate if they know they have a shot at winning $1 million. And the way that we made it worth it was to partner up with 10 to 15 other AI companies so that they could
Right.
help offset the cost. But more importantly, when the hackathon started, we gave them access to all of our partners' tools that they could use in their projects. So, for example, say we partnered with 11 Labs, and they're so great
Mhm.
with creating sort of sounds and music and are being able to create voiceovers and AI and voice and that sort of thing. But we would give them free like credit, or 11 Labs would give them free credits into their product, then they'd be able to use that into their Bolt project, right? And so it was a win-win for our partners, for us, right? In terms of getting people to use the product, but in a way that is like super fun. Um, and so that's
And
an
then
example.
all the hackathon participants then are very accustomed to like the technologies that they use. I see. I see.
Yes, exactly. And then they get to practice. And in this case, it was a month long. Hackathons are usually also not a month, they're usually a few days, a weekend. And sometimes in this case, when we did it with Google, it was only a good day long. So,
So
um,
how
yeah.
kind of sort of studio, how do you distinguish yourself between just the marketing agency and then community marketing agency? How do you distinguish yourself?
Mm,
Because I feel like there's a little bit of like overlap as well, right?
yeah. I think there is right now. And I think that is, and like I said earlier, I want us to niche down. I want us to become known for something. And I feel like we're still figuring out what that is. And
Okay.
because we work with so many different companies that are at different stages or what have you, we've kind of been, and then on top of that, because the whole team, so myself and Fiona, who's our creative director and co-founder, and Richard, who's our content lead and video producer, we've done kind of go to market work, campaigns, brand and positioning work. Like now we have found ourselves in a place where we're like, because we're so new and trying to get work, like how can we fit the scope to what the customer needs? But now we're in a place where it's like, okay, that's great, but like that's not how we're going to scale our business. And you're asking the right questions, Rose, which is like, but like what is the thing, right? And so the truthful answer is like we're still figuring that out. I know it's going to be community marketing oriented because that's our superpower. That's what we're good at. We know that's what AI companies and tech companies need, especially when, like there's so much of
Yeah.
one specific type of
Technology.
content out there. Everyone's trying to break through that. And then more
Hmm.
importantly, because there's so much hype in the AI space particular, there's a lack of trust, right? Like people are trying these
True.
products for the first time and they're like, well, it's actually not as good as the marketing says it is, so I'm bouncing. And
So,
I kind of talk about how community is one of those things that helps build trust. It can help build loyalty if you treat your community right, if you build alongside them, right? Don't talk down to them, make them feel seen, heard, and rewarded, all the things that we've kind of been talking about already. But yeah, hopefully, like coming in with tech brands and helping them figure out what that looks like for them. It could be through a community program, right? Maybe it's through an ambassador program, or perhaps it's a way, like it's a special event for a certain kind of audience where, they're going to give back in some sort of way, give them value where they feel educated, who like give them a way to meet other people, like whatever that is for that group, right? Whatever that group finds to be most valuable. And you do that by talking to them and building relationships with them. But yeah, hopefully the goal for kind of sort of studio is to work with brands to help them sort of figure out and build their community in whatever way that is. And so, yeah,
do you
that's my
work
answer
with
for now. But yeah.
do you work with like very early stage startups, or do you mainly work with like like Series A and beyond?
So right now we work with there's one seed company that we work with, soon to be Series A. The rest of the companies that we work with are Series A and up, and then um any other company that's not that is just like a publicly traded or like larger size company. Those are definitely not as common. We're trying to work towards that. But we definitely, I would say, serve right now a lot of like series A, series B plus like type startups and trying to move away from the pre-seed world just because like budget is not as great for us realistically. But
Their
hopefully
budget.
if we can work with yeah, their budget. Their
True.
budget. And to be honest with you, it's not just their budget. And in my experience so far in building kind of sort of studio, it also just may be too early for us, right?
Hmm.
In terms like if you haven't figured out your brand yet, or if you don't have product market fit and you don't know, right, like the thing that's going to keep people coming back on the product side, it gets a lot harder for someone like us to kind of come in and do that work, which is why once like a company has started to find product market fit, they know who they're trying to target and have confidence in that or early sort of validation. That is a much better time for us to come in. Especially since myself, Fiona, and Richard typically work with a lot of our clients like on a team basis. Like the three of us are kind of working together.
So, what is
So
your
yeah.
like most common method of community marketing? You mentioned like guerrilla Discord communities, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
What
we're
is your
Discord
most common?
communities. Our most common one is going to be either doing like smaller, sort of more intimate events or Discord sort of server community related work. One of our clients right now, actually, we're using Discord to start building a community of folks that are going to hopefully come back and build more on the product. And so we're doing game jams, we're doing demo days where people are showing off what they're building in front of everybody else, right? And sort of getting that feedback from the community and from the sort of the dev team directly as well, which makes them feel like cool, like my project's being acknowledged by the team. To sort of challenges where right now we just actually put out a challenge where we asked them to pair up with another person to build a game in the next 2 weeks. And every sort of time we do a new challenge is a different theme. The last theme was friend swap, so like just building a game that like is not, the most like it's not the most put together, but it's a fun quick game that you would play with your friends.
Got you.
So yeah, different themes, right? Different prizes that they get. Like we do a lot of different prizes and like other things that like you'll get just because you're a part of the Discord community versus like, yeah, following the company on other channels and what have you. So, and that requires like showing up in the space every day, talking to people and not just like answering questions, but like engaging with them, having conversation, getting to know them, that sort of
The
thing,
group
which
chats.
is so fun. Yes, in Discord in particular. So the Discord server and the various Discord channels that we have organized for the client that we're working with.
Does your staff do this, or do you like outsource to like
No, we
individuals?
do it. We do all of it. So right now the community management is not just a one person thing. Over time, I'd love to continue to build our mini community team that works with our clients, but we're still so small. And so it's myself and Richard and Fiona, and it's kind of fun. There's a part of me that loves it. Just like when I left Discord, I had a team of like 14, 15 people doing all of the work I did in the early days. And I was so proud of myself for getting there. But I was also kind of envious because like they still got to spend every single day with the community. And I just like, not that I was completely detached from it, but I just wasn't as involved just because I had a team of people do a lot of that work. And of course, like, I am the CEO and founder of my own company and I can't do all the things, but I think if I'm going to go out and talk all the time about how we're a community marketing studio, it's important for everyone at the company and our brand to also be building community and engaging with the community. Um, whether that's our clients, whether that's our own. So I find it to kind of almost be important to the work that I do to some extent, if
And
that's
how
what
do
we're going to
you
call
hand
and
off?
position ourselves as.
How do you hand off the project when like when you stop working with a client? Because you have that community there, right? Do you just like kind of
Yes.
leave it off to them like as, as is, or
Ideally, there's a few things. Ideally, they have, even if it's like one or two internal folks on the marketing side that can help sort of continue to, run
Hmm.
things. Another
Hmm.
thing that we would also help do is find specific moderators for the communities that are already sort of like know the product, are involved in the community, and can kind of help support the internal brand or company, etc. So a mix of both typically, but um, yeah, it's really hard for us to just leave a community and be like, we're hands off and now you
Yeah.
guys are you can't you're done. Like that feels not good in the work, right? And I think that's the tough part about our work is like it's not like an event, right? We're like, here's the final booth and thing outcome you can see. Whereas like a
Hmm.
Discord server or a Slack community or whatever, right? Like an online community is one of those things that are just like continuously ongoing.
What's the hardest part about your job?
Hmm. I think, look, I live in San Francisco. I'm still very early. I think there are days where I'm like, wow, I could go work at Anthropic or other AI company and make this like crazy salary. And that's what I walked away from when I started kinda sorta. I had a really great, like I was supported very well at the last company I worked with. And I was like, what? There are days where I'm like, oh my God, like we really need to get a new client. Like, even though we're working with a few right now, we need more or whatever it may be. And I'm like, wow, like I could be at this company making more money right now doing the what I'm doing right now, but I know I wouldn't be happy doing that. And so it's like, I mean, I don't want to say resiliency because I feel like I've started learning that from my first company when I built whatever, like the importance of just like, I don't know, eating shit like 15 times in a row and then getting back up. I mean, that's the truth. Like, that's really the truth. Like, getting back up and be like, yeah, I want to do this again, even though, like, fuck, like, that didn't make me feel good. And so I'm still learning that because I think, like, obviously, we're lifelong learners here. We never stop learning. But, like, there are
Mhm.
days where I'm like, I feel like I could do the easy thing. And not that it would be easy. I'm not saying everyone that works at Anthropic or OpenAI have easy jobs. They definitely do not. But more so, that security. And
Yeah.
so there are days where I crave that when I'm like, oh my God, I'm running this business. Like, this is my second company. Is it going to like do what I need it to do? Am I like supporting the folks that like trusted me and took on this like risk to join me and build this
Definitely.
studio
Yeah.
with me, right? Like, and I don't take that for granted. Like, that's a very huge thing. Like, my two co-founders that chose to work with me for my first company, like, it's such a sacrifice to be like, I'm going to leave
Mhm.
this cushy job that I have and like go do this
Yeah.
thing. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's a great answer, but like, yeah, I think it's that. So
Yeah. Well, I do relate. Like, there's that cushy part of like working for a company, but there's a thrill of like, you know, the thrill of working for yourself in the sense that you have new challenges every day, right? So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And I could say for the first time in my life, like I wake up on Mondays and most days, and I'm really excited to
Mhm.
work on what I'm doing, and I feel like
Wonderful.
that's rare, and I also don't take that for granted. So, like, okay,
Wonderful.
even though I'm not making what I could make at XYZ company, I'm really happy doing what I'm doing, and I know one day I can get there, and it's not now, but it will be in the future. So, I think like yeah, just like that faith and that resiliency to keep going is I don't know. An obvious thing that I know most founders are gonna be like, yeah, well, obviously, but it's hard to do in practice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hard to do
Exactly.
because like a lot of people are like Mallory, you're so brave. Like you started the company, and I'm like, you don't get it. That's the easy part. The easy part for me is to start the thing. And not for some people,
Mm.
it's not
Mm.
right. For some people, it's like to start the thing. It takes a lot. For me, it's like the easy part. The hard part is making sure that I continue to follow through and put in the time and effort and discipline it takes to actually grow a business because it doesn't happen overnight, right? So, yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much for imparting your wisdom and your experience with our audience. Where can we
yeah.
find you, Mallory?
You can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram or X as Mallory Loar. Yeah, or you can check out kindasorta at kindasortastudio.com. We just created an entire new website. It's beautiful. I'm biased, of course, but definitely check us out there too. And thanks for having
Great.
me, Rose.
Thank you so much, Mallory. All right. See you guys next time.